dedicated to you.
What's happening around the world and what's happening here at home? A very good evening to you and welcome to Primetime News. I'm Sandro Ferdinando. Let's take a look at your headlines for tonight.
Satyagraha launched demanding the immediate reopening of the Buddhist and Pali University. 40 trade unions converge in Colombo. Warns of a nationwide strike if unjust taxes are not removed. Heavy security at Election Commission as protesters demand immediate elections. Pakistan President unilaterally announces election dates for provincial assemblies. Tremors experienced in Buttala.
First up in news here at home, police fired tear gas and water cannons to disperse a satyagraha launched by the students of the Buddhist and Pali University. This is what transpired late this evening.
Student monks launched a satyagraha urging the authorities to reopen the Buddhist and Pali University of Sri Lanka.
A heated situation arose when police tried to intervene and remove the student monks from the site earlier in the evening.
It has been nearly 2 months since the Buddhist and Pali University of Sri Lanka was closed down, and Students' Union of the university staged a protest urging authorities to reopen the university immediately. Following the protest, the student monks set up a hut and commenced a satyagraha to support their cause. After the police withdrew from the protest site, the student monks launched their satyagraha.
We took to the streets and launched this satyagraha today because our requests went unanswered for nearly 2 months. Now they are trying to attack us using police. We urge the university authorities and the political authorities, including Suren Raghavan, to recommence the academic activities of our university without trying to suppress us. You also need to lift the suspension imposed on 39 university students. All these student movements have now become a headache to the government, and this is why they are trying to suppress these movements. If the government is trying to suppress us by framing us using false allegations and by imposing suspensions on our university students, we are not ready to bow down to that.
Trade unions attached to petroleum, ports, electricity supply and telecommunication joined the Professionals Trade Union Collective opposite the Fort Railway Station to demand the immediate withdrawal of the unjust tax regime. This protest in Colombo took place in line with the National Protest Day declared by the trade unions. The protest resulted in the closure of one lane of traffic opposite the Fort Railway Station.
We are here for one objective and one objective alone. If the government is not ready to understand this situation, listen to the voices of the professionals and the people and turn back the decision. We will not come here again in this manner. At the Chamber of Commerce, the President says the tax policy is a rescue operation. Who is he trying to rescue? He is not trying to rescue the people. He is trying to rescue the rogues who enjoy tax holidays. They tax our salaries and fire blanks at the sea to celebrate independence. In Kandy, they held a perahara to pay respects to a piece of wood. Such is the state of leadership in the country. We are here to seek a solution to the issues. Today is a T20 game. On the 1st of March, be ready for the ODI. If the government wants to play a test match, we are ready for that. Go ahead with the gazettes declaring essential services. We are not afraid. The people have no way to survive. Is there anything essential apart from that? This is the largest trade union gathering in the country. No one can defeat this. We have an enraged leader. Around 50 university teachers are preparing to leave the universities and migrate by next year. It is impossible to survive with these taxes and the prices of goods. There won't be any professionals left in the country. If the university teachers leave, who will educate the future generation? Doesn't Ranil understand this? He wants to loot the country as he pleases by exiling all the intellectuals. This is the first cannon that was fired against it. This message is to Ranil Wickramasinghe. If the act is not withdrawn before the new year, the government will be sent home. If Ranil Rajapaksa can join together, why can't the people of the strategic areas join together? This struggle against the tax regime will only end in victory. The trade unions are not here to just warn the government. If you go on the correct path, you will sustain. But if you don't reverse this decision, we will send you in reverse. If you are providing tax holidays to your associates by taking away our earnings, we will stop that by sending you home. If we stop operations at the SLPA, CEB, Water Board and CPC as well, the education and banking sectors too, you cannot recover. We demand you awaken and solve this.
After protesting for around an hour, the group dispersed. Trade unions attached to water supply organized a series of protests across the country against the unjust tax regime and the rising cost of living. A major protest took place opposite the head office of the National Water Supply and Drainage Board located in Ratmalana. Workers protested for almost 2 hours and engaged in a protest march.
Our salaries have been taxed by the government. Next would be yours. This is a blow to every sector in the country. We have no way to survive. We urge the Wickramasinghe government to withdraw the tax. If not, we will engage more serious trade union actions.
A protest also took place opposite the National Water Supply and Drainage Board office in Mathura.
We urge the government to withdraw this tax regime immediately and introduce a tax policy that can be termed as affordable.
A protest also took place opposite the National Water Supply and Drainage Board office in Ratnapura. A similar protest took place opposite the National Water Supply and Drainage Board office in Kalutara.
Meanwhile, a protest took place opposite the National Election Commission this evening.
Special security was provided to the National Election Commission on Wednesday the 22nd, and the riot police were also summoned to the site. Political groups, lawyers of the struggle, civil organizations, mass organizations and activists engaged in the protest.
As per the constitution, there is no need for the Election Commission to go to the Supreme Court and shed tears. They are the vested authority right now. Instead of using that power to issue orders to the police, government printer and the Treasury Secretary, they are serving as the middleman in the presence of the Supreme Court. We demand them to stop this drama.
The group requested to proceed to the Election Commission, and police allowed a group of lawyers to enter the premises.
The postal vote should have taken place today. However, Ranil has taken away the ballot papers from the government printer. Puncheva is an actor in this teledrama. Do not play with the mandate of the people. You must stand with the people. We urge the Commission to use its powers and call for the election on the 9th of March.
Multiple groups filed complaints with the Human Rights Commission against the attempts to delay the local government election. The People's Tomorrow movement requested for the chairman and members of the Election Commission and the Treasury Secretary to be summoned to the Human Rights Commission. They also requested the HRCSL to make a statement to the effect that if the election does not take place on the 9th of March, it is a violation of the people's fundamental rights.
A complaint was filed with the Human Rights Commission naming the chairman and the members of the Election Commission and Treasury Secretary as the respondents. An unconstitutional act led to the violation of the people's fundamental rights. We requested an order to be made on the Election Commission to not to violate the constitutional provisions for us to vote as mentioned in the ICCPR Act, and also an order on the Finance Secretary to provide the relevant monetary requirements.
මුදල් අමාත්‍යාංශයේ ලේකම්වරයාට නියෝගයක් කරන ලෙසටත් මේ සඳහා අවශ්‍ය මූල්‍ය ප්‍රතිපාදන ලබා දෙන ලෙසටත්.
The Surakimu Lanka movement also filed a complaint with the HRCSL.
Ranil Wickremesinghe is using various political means to control the Election Commission, government printer and the state mechanism to direct them to a separate area and thus inconveniencing the Election Commission so that the elections will not be held. The key responsibility lies with the Election Commission. We filed a complaint against the chairman of the Election Commission, Nimal Punchiheva. He must reveal the matters to the nation.
Chamira Pereira, the convener of the United Citizens Alliance, visited the Human Rights Commission as well.
A complaint was made with the Human Rights Commission seeking that the chairman and officials of the Election Commission be summoned for an investigation and to secure the democratic rights of the people. Elections cannot be held on the simple say of Ranil Wickremesinghe and the Rajapaksas. It appears the Wickremesinghe assumes the country is his own property. This is becoming a form of oppression and there needs to be an intervention.
The local government election was raised in Parliament.
The Election Commission had said that the cash bonds placed will not be reimbursed. They have looted the money as well. It's a disgrace. The right to vote is a fundamental human right. So the Election Commission is trying to deprive the people from this right. We need the elections. We are well prepared as well. I had an auspicious time, I was ready to cast my vote, but seems like I won't be able to do so. We need the election. If the election is held, we will definitely win it. No matter how much they boast, the CID report says that they have less than 15%. The Sri Lanka Podu Jana Peramuna and the Jatika Jana Balawege both have only less than 15%. So they somehow decided to postpone this election. Hold the election whenever you want. We are ready. We respect GLPs very much. So keep urging the government to hold the elections through media briefings. Even you will say the same. Godeheva is the leader of your group. The group demanding the elections. But mark my word, you will go and stand with Sajith Premadasa. But my dear friend Vasantha, I don't think Kiriyalla will give you nominations.
Mahindananda Aludgamage, you are hanging on Ranil Wickremesinghe's tail. You are hanging on a tail and telling us what to do.
There were recordings of calls with Ranil Wickremesinghe. Shall I play the recording of the conversation between you and Ranil Wickremesinghe?
We are not clinging on to any political party. Even though many parties invited us to join them, we declined. We do not want to betray any party. We will stand with the people.
You tried and failed, that's not a problem. The one seated next to you begged Gotabaya Rajapaksa for the post of the finance minister. He was so desperate for a ministerial portfolio that he agreed to even take up the ministry of Buddha Sasana. He even asked them to create a new ministerial portfolio.
They must be thinking we will fall for their tricks. We will not unite with the group that betrayed the 6.9 million people that voted for them and later went on to cling on to the UNP.
Who is sabotaging the election? It's the current finance minister Ranil Wickremesinghe. Now he is passing the ball saying he has no responsibility over the elections, thinking the election commission or the court will take up the responsibility. We know that the secretary to the finance ministry, the government printer and the inspector general of police is behind this. Ranil Wickremesinghe is in charge of the defense. He has no escape. Hold the elections. Who is saying that the elections won't be held? The election will be held on the 9th of March. We are ready to cast our votes. I am hoping to cast my vote at the Demodara Saudam Tamil School in Alla. 2 court cases are to be taken up tomorrow. The election has not been postponed yet. So why did they approve a budget of 19,995 million rupees in Parliament? The government is saying that they are not cancelling the election, but they are not providing this money either. Give the money. At this rate, the election cannot be held on the 9th. From August onward, when Mahinda Deshapriya's delimitation commission is implemented, the nominations will no longer be valid. Then the election is no longer valid and the nominations are also no longer valid. Then they have to call for another election after that.
Opposition leader Sajid Premadasa, addressing a public rally in Notchagama, said the president was operating on 3 promises he made to the SLPP.
කරුණු තුනයි. මොකද්ද කරුණු තුන? පක්ෂපාතීව ඡන්ද දෙන පොහොට්ටු മന്ത്രിවරුන්ට හොඳ ආරක්ෂාවක්.
There are 3 points. Adequate security to the SLPP MPs who vote in favour. Second, compensation for damages caused to their houses. Third, not to dissolve parliament until the term comes to an end. That is the manifesto to appoint a president in the country. The government led by this president has no mandate. The public have no faith in them. They are not accepted. Do not try to engage in mischievous political acts to delay the election. The people are ready to step out to the streets and obtain their right to vote. Are you ready for that?
Leader of the Jatika Jana Balawega, Anru Kumara Disanayaka, attended a political rally in Kandy today.
The Security Council met 2 weeks ago. During this meeting, the State Intelligence Service submitted a document prepared by them. Ranil's facial expressions changed once he saw this report. Now they are just scared to face the election. The Supreme Court case on this is to be called in court tomorrow. But as per the election agenda, today was the day to hold the postal voting for these elections. If they have continued this postal vote, tomorrow's decision in the court will be pointless. Once he realized this, he took it to his own hands and started doing things in his own way.
ඔයාගෙන පරීක්ෂණයක් තියෙනව නේද මොනවද මුද්‍රණාලි විකුණලා අහුවෙලා නිකන් යන ගමන් කැලලක් දැම්මා. නිකන් ඒකත් දන්න බව ඇඟෙව්වා.
He used an ongoing investigation against the government printer to threat her to follow his orders. Then he ordered the government printer to not to print any ballot papers until they release the funds. In the meantime, he told Siriwardana to not to release any funds. Is this the law? This is nothing but a shameless autocratic move. This will set a bad precedent in this country.
මේක අපරට ආభాසයට පත් වුණා.
Meanwhile, foreign media reported that Pakistan's President Dr. Arif Alvi has unilaterally set a date for the election in 2 of the country's 4 provinces after the Election Commission of Pakistan failed to set a date following refusal by the Finance Ministry to provide funds for the election and the Defence Ministry refusing to provide security for the polls.
Pakistan President Arif Alvi unilaterally set a date for elections after Election Commission of Pakistan failed to set a date following refusals by the Finance Ministry to provide funds for the election and the Defence Ministry refused to provide security for the polls. Pakistan's President Arif Alvi in a statement said the governors of Punjab and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa are not performing their constitutional duties for appointing a date not later than 90 days from the date of dissolution of provincial assemblies as per the Constitution of Pakistan. He added that the Election Commission of Pakistan is also not fulfilling its constitutional obligation for holding polls for the assemblies of Punjab and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. He said that both of the constitutional officers are placing the ball in each other's court, resulting in a delay and creating a serious danger that the constitutional provisions may be violated. Noting that he is under oath to preserve, protect and defend the Constitution of Islamic Republic of Pakistan, the President said it is necessary to perform his constitutional and statutory duty to announce the date of elections to avoid the infringement and breach of the Constitution. He said whereas there being no restraining order from any of the judicial fora, there is no impediment invoking the power and authority vested in the President of Pakistan. The Election Commission of Pakistan immediately responded that it would seek the advice of the Attorney General of Pakistan to possibly fight President's decision in court, which would pave the way for the Supreme Court of Pakistan to have the final say.
We'll be back with more news right after this. Stay tuned.
News First, main sponsor.
Durden's Hospital, dedicated to you.
The Supreme Court of Sri Lanka has granted leave to proceed in the fundamental rights fundamental rights application challenging the declaration of emergency in May 2022. The application was filed by Dr. R.P. Saranamuthu of the Centre for Policy Alternatives. The case will be heard on the 5th of October 2023. A minor tremor was reported in the areas of Buttala, Palwatha, Anapallama and Vallavaya this morning.
A minor tremor was reported today between 11:45 and 11:50 am. Peradeniya University senior professor of geology Atula Senaratne said that it recorded a magnitude of 3.6.
මොකද සිද්ධ වුණේ කියලා හිතා ගන්න බෑ මේක ඉස්සෙල්ලා දෙයක් සිද්ධ වුණා ඒ වුණාට ඊට වැඩි ලොකු දෙයක් අද නම් සිද්ධ වුණා.
A reporter said that some schools in the area affected by the earthquake had taken steps to send their children home.
Today's tremors can be considered as a minor situation. In this area, especially through Bibila to Buddala, this border will move from east to west to Wallavaya area, ending at Usangodi. Many shocks can happen along this border. We should not be afraid because of a minor situation, but the people living in this area should be careful.
On the 10th of February, several tremors were reported in Wallavaya and Buttala areas. They were recorded as magnitude 3 and 3.5. On the 11th of February at 3:48 am, another tremor was reported from Wallavaya area with a magnitude of 2.3. Between 8:45 am and 9 am, several tremors were experienced in Buttala and Unawatuna areas on the 12th of February.
Sri Lankan President Ranil Wickremesinghe urged all citizens to work together to overcome the current economic crisis and promote reconciliation efforts. He was speaking at an event in Royal College, Colombo.
Royal College, Colombo held an event today to honour President Wickremesinghe, who is an alumni of Royal College.
I studied at Royal. I could have gone abroad to a university. I didn't. My father wanted me to go abroad. I stayed here because I valued what I had. And after I passed out, I did not go abroad. I stayed here because I owe my education to the state, which paid for me and which sent us to the Royal College. The Prime Minister went abroad and he studied there. But he remembered his obligation to the country, so he came back. And that is what you have to do. You have the responsibility to come back to your country or stay in your country and build a new Sri Lanka.
It was revealed in Parliament today that there is an attempt to propose another parliamentarian along with Dr. Harsha De Silva to the post of chairman of the Parliamentary Committee on Public Finance. Parliamentarian Nima Lansa, speaking on the matter, stated that a vote should be carried out in the Parliament on this appointment.
I don't want any cabinet portfolio. We are ready to commit and work for the betterment of this country even while sitting in the opposition. I tried to call the speaker several times but he did not respond. I kindly urge the speaker to issue a statement on this.
Selection committee.
During the select committee meeting on this appointment, several names were proposed from the opposition. The standing orders do not say that we have to appoint whoever the opposition whip proposes to this house.
ආණ්ඩුවට බෑනේ මේ විපක්ෂයේ මන්ත්‍රීවරු නම් කරන්න
කමිටුව එකකතාවෙන් පත් කරන කතාවක් තමයි
බොහොම ස්තුතියි අපේ න්‍යායපත්‍රයට
හර්ෂසිල්ල බැතුමා පත් වුණා කියලා ඔබතු ඇයි නිවේදනය කරන්න නැත්තේ
එකකතාවයකට අපි ආවේ
ආණ්ඩුවෙන් හරි කොහෙන් හරි යෝජනා කරන විපක්ෂයේ නම මොකක්ද කියලා මං හිතන්නේ ඉතා පැහැදිලිව.
The ruling faction clearly stated that they will appoint someone from the opposition. As a member of the Parliamentary Committee on Public Finance, I have the right to tell who we are going to appoint. I cannot tell it here. It needs to be appointed at the committee by a vote.
ඒක සාමාන්‍යයෙන් කාරක සභාවකදී එතන ඡන්දයෙන් තෝරන්න ඕනේ. කෝප් එකේ කෝප.
In COPE and COPA, we can have a vote, but there is no vote in this appointment.
නම් දෙකක් යෝජනා වුණොත් ඡන්දයක් තියෙනවා. ඒක තමයි නීතිය.
ඔව් මරිකර්මතුමා අවසාන වශයෙන් ඔබතුමා
ආරේ පොඩ්ඩක් ඉන්න වෙලාව දෙන්න අපිත් මං ඡන්දෙන් පත් වෙච්ච මන්ත්‍රීවරු ලක්ෂ ගණන් මනාප අරගෙන මේ අපි එක එකනා පත් කරපුවා නෙමෙයි.
ඕන තරම් වෙලාව දෙන්න නම ප්‍රධාන කටයුතු අවසන් කරලා
මම කොළඹ දිස්ත්‍රික්කයේ දෙවෙනියා ඡන්දෙන් පත් වෙච්ච මන්ත්‍රී කෙනෙක් කතා කිරීමේ අවස්ථාවක් තියෙනවා. ආන් ඉන්නකෝ දැන් මේ සිලෙක්ටඩ් ජනාධිපතිට ඕන විදියට
ජනාධිපතිතුමානේ
අර්බුදයක් හදන්න මේ උත්සාහ කරන්නේ.
මෙතන මේ පාතාලෙන් වගේ කතා කරන්නේ තර්ජනය කරන්නේ ඔබතුමාට.
ඒවා මෙහෙ තියාගන්න බෑ. පාතාලේ එළිය තියාගන්න පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ තියාගන්න එපා.
පාතාල චෝදනාවක් නැහැ, කප්පන් චෝදනාවක් නැහැ. මගේ කතා කිරීමේ අයිතිය වෙනුවෙන් මම පැණි හිටිනවා. මම ඡන්දෙන් පත් වෙච්ච മന്ത്രിවරයෙක්, පින් മന്ത്രിකමකුත් නෙමෙයි. ඒ නිසා ඔබතුමා මට අවස්ථාව දෙන්න නැත්නම් මම ඒකට ගෑ ගහනවා.
Comments were made in Parliament over permitting Indian fishermen to fish in the sea of Sri Lanka.
We believe that permits can be issued if both countries can discuss and reach an agreement. If that happens, the Indian Navy will control their fishermen. If we issue permits to one faction, those with permits will not allow those without permits to enter. There will be some form of control. If we can generate revenue, it will be given to the fishermen as well. We can avoid conflicts. We will not permit bottom trawling.
அதனால நாங்க என்ன எதிர்பார்க்கிறோம்னு சொன்னால் ரெண்டு நாட்டுக்கும் இடையில் ஒரு நல்ல ஃபாரின் மினிஸ்ட்ரியில் இதுக்காக ஒரு டிஸ்கஷன் ஒன்று நாங்க வெச்சோம் ஃபிஷரிஸ் மினிஸ்ட்ரி.
Meanwhile, the Board of Investment today handed over the letter of approval to Adani Group for 2 wind energy projects in Punarin and Mannar.
The Adani Group investment for the 2 wind energy projects in Punarin and Mannar is $442 million.
So today we have issued them the approval letter, the letter of approval of the BOI, and once they receive the power purchase agreement with the CEB, after they have signed the power purchase agreement, then BOI also will be signing the contract with the Adani Group, and from the date of signing the contract, they have promised us that they will be commissioning within 2 years. So if we are able to sign maybe within the next 2 months, by 2025 they should be able to commission and supply 350 megawatts to the national grid.
In a forceful show of resolve, President Joe Biden addressed the world on Tuesday from Warsaw, Poland, just days ahead of the 1-year mark of Russia's brutal invasion of Ukraine. He said there is a choice between democracy that lifts up the human spirit and the brutal hand of the dictator who crushes it.
Appetites of the autocrat cannot be appeased. They must be opposed. Autocrats only understand one word: no, no, no. No, you will not take my country. No, you will not take my freedom. No, you will not take my future. A dictator bent on rebuilding an empire will never be able to ease the people's love of liberty. Brutality will never grind down the will of the free. And Ukraine will never be a victory for Russia. Never. For free people refuse to live in a world of hopelessness and darkness. You know, this has been an extraordinary year in every sense. And while decisions are ours to make now, the principles and the stakes are eternal. The choice between chaos and stability, between building and destroying, between hope and fear, between democracy that lifts up the human spirit and the brutal hand of the dictator who crushes it, between nothing less than limitation and possibilities. The kind of possibilities that come when people who live not in captivity but in freedom. 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 There is no sweeter word than freedom. There is no nobler goal than freedom. There's no higher aspiration than freedom. Americans know that, and you know it. And all that we do now must be done so our children and grandchildren will know it as well. Freedom. The enemy of the tyrant and the hope of the brave and the truth of the ages. Freedom. Stand with us. We will stand with you. Let us move forward with faith and conviction and with an abiding commitment to be allies, not of darkness but of light, not of oppression but of liberation, not of captivity but yes, of freedom.
Biden's speech came hours after Russian President Vladimir Putin addressed Russia's parliament, announcing the country would stop participating in the New START nuclear arms treaty with the US, the last remaining major arms control agreement between the two countries. Putin said that Russia is not withdrawing from the treaty for now, but is suspending it, saying the war in Ukraine means it is not possible to allow American inspectors to visit Russian nuclear sites as agreed under the treaty.
We leave you tonight with a report on the Sri Lanka Air Force Regiment Special Forces ahead of the 72nd anniversary of the Sri Lankan Sky Warriors. With that, wrap up news for tonight. Thank you very much for joining us. Do take care and good night.
Sri Lankan Sky Warriors.
3,000 and
Regiment Special Air Forces of the Sri Lanka Air Force is not just any ordinary military unit. It is a special forces unit on par with any other on earth. These gallant warriors received training of high standard to counter any threat. For this very reason, the Regiment Special Forces of the Sri Lanka Air Force hold a special place among other forces in the country. Their weapon training is unique, and their primary role is to counter the unexpected and protection of our motherland. This kind of mental willpower and combat discipline requires nerves of steel, and the training comes from the Moravava station. Here's how the Regiment Special Forces of the Sri Lanka Air Force counter urban threats under the guidance of the Commander of the Sri Lanka Air Force.
Sri Lankan Skywalker.